So many things that go on with your hands as an act of seeing, that became really important. And so I said, well, why don't we just have this hand that does this act of seeing, and reaches down and picks things up. And then was the problem of where does it pick things up from?
So we ended up creating this kind of improvised set and just experimenting for a long time, with just this very simple process of a hand reaching down, picking something up. All the other pieces in this show have ended up having to do with arms and hands and shadows in one way or another. And the piece that Eric's and Itzo have been working on involves kind of reaching into a hole.
It's all fabricated out of steel. They are instruments that there are holes where you put your hands in. There are infrared sensors within that trigger audio and visual reaction within the structure.
We fabricated them out of metal. We started by Eric designed them in CorelDRAW, and then I transferred it to another program where we used the CNC laser cutter basically to cut the shapes. And then from there on out, it was just fabrication such as grinding and welding.
The sensors, the LEDs within the structure, and all the power and the electronics within, that has been my responsibility with the help of Itzo. Itzo has taken care of more of the programming of all of the information.
In that context, what I'm contributing there is the visual and the oral, and I guess visual, oral, and interactive component, meaning basically there will be some screens with some content being displayed there. There will be some sounds accompanying that, and most importantly, means of interacting with the elemental piece, which uses a 12-speaker array suspended from the ceiling, and an infrared homebrew camera with a wide lens, allowing for monitoring of most of the room, in conjunction with a gaming engine and Max MSP Jitter software and EyesWeb software. We're basically creating a kind of a techo system where user presence is supported by this sort of ripples of water that are being created as they move around the room.
The idea for the dome piece was stimulated and influenced by the other work in the exhibition. What I was interested in doing was creating another world and also making these bots a little bit more sophisticated in that they could travel in different environments, have wings for example, or swim underwater.
We started with no concept of what system we were going to use, no idea of how we were going to animate them, how we were going to get them to respond, and what we ended up using was Flash. We used webcams to track the motion of the users in the space until they start reaching into the piece and trying to interact with it. At that point, the camera starts actually paying attention to them.
Yes, and then that interaction triggers the sound file, so
triggers the fish to
swim up.
The piece that I'm most directly responsible for in the Revo over installation is the interactive arms on the back wall of the installation site. This is an interactive piece that was developed using animation software, namely Maya, and a game engine, Unity 3D. When sound is picked up by the computer, it multiplies that negatively against gravity, the gravitational constant, and basically turns gravity upside down. And so that the arms are now being forced upward. And the louder the volume, the more that the gravity gets inverted. And I wanted to do a piece where I was no longer in control. I wanted to set up systems where I would build skeletons and gravity and all these things, and then in essence just press play.
This is malleable. This can be played by different individuals, creating different sounds, different visuals. It's almost like the viewer is creating the art.
Audience becomes not only a perceiver of a work of art, but actually becomes active participant in creating it and manifesting it.
It'll allow each person to attach their personal feeling and notion to each object.
And I think children have an advantage in this case, provided they can get their hands in there and get a reaction. Children have no problem walking into any space, any situation, and forgetting the rest of the world and just playing.
I always knew that younger kids, once they understood how the mechanism worked, would be very excited about it. But I was very surprised in some of the tours that we've done to see professionals, 40, 50-year-old people come in and before long running around acting like kids, making all manner of noise, just to test the limits of what they could make these arms do and the level of expressiveness.
I really feel that I would like people to have a sense of joy and a sense of fun with interacting with this, so that they don't leave the building with a furrowed brow, but rather a smile on their face.
So one of the things that we would come to about the whole show is that these are all pieces that really need to be in the same room together. And while this could be a standalone piece, in fact each piece could be a standalone piece, that the sum together is in fact the key to making this piece work.